Conference recording started.
Hello and welcome to the Life Breath Club's weekly meeting for June 16th, 2014. This is Carrie Tucker, the Life Breath Coach from HeartFailureSolutions.com. I'm so glad you could join me here today for our 60 minutes of breath awareness. We love to keep in mind that this weekly meeting that we guard on our calendars and make sure we save the hour to meet our Life Breath Club team members and together focus on our breathing for 60 minutes in a weekly practice that is intended to nurture a daily awareness of your breathing. So this weekly time brings our attention back to, we want to be more aware of our breathing. Yeah? And perhaps when you wake up in the morning, you give a little bit of time to cultivate that stillness that we've talked about is so important, and to just spend a little time getting reacquainted with yourself each morning. What thoughts will arise? Just empty the canvas of your mind and just be still with yourself. To sit with a straight spine. Play with that feeling of settling into the bowl of muscle that your butt is the bottom of, right? You have that bowl of muscle right there at the bottom of your spine. So you're not sway back and you're not slouching. And you're looking for that more stacked on top of each other. Stack those discs of your spine on top of each other. And you don't want to hang your head off the front of your spine. You want it to balance on top of your spine. And don't get discouraged if posture is something that feels completely out of the question for you. Just focus on watching your breathing. And you don't want to necessarily manipulate breathing. There's so much coaching these days. Just take a breath, take a deep breath, and don't deprive yourself of oxygen. And Life Breath Clubbers, the reason we come together and we support each other and we, like minds coming together to brainstorm and support each other on our journey towards better health, we like to remind each other that deep breathing isn't really the goal, right? The goal is to relax, right? To allow for that deeper breath, right? Because we know that there are two nervous system responses that initiate breathing, right? You can consciously take a breath, but when you're sleeping at night, that's not conscious at all, right? It's that deeper, unconscious breathing that keeps control of things when you are not aware of your breathing, right? But as well, we can divide that up, that when we're stressed, when a tiger jumps out of the bushes, then we shift into a nervous system response that's fight and flight, right? So we contract in order to run away, right? And in our modern stressful world, at times we get this chronic fight or flight nervous system response. And this prevents our normal, natural breathing cycle. Right? So just taking a deep breath, it really is going to do nothing to address that. Right? So take a deep breath is really not the best advice. Right? Relax, breathe into now is good advice. Right? So sometimes maybe the best advice isn't to take a deep breath, but to breathe into this moment. I personally breathe into this moment by breathing out into this moment and waiting with faith, right? Because I have faith that my parasympathetic nervous system, that deeper nervous system response, that relaxed nervous system response will kick in and initiate a breath that is much deeper than I can consciously, willingly create, right? So breathing into now is more about allowing that big, refreshing, cleansing, deep breath that you can't generate yourself, right? because we know that this, if you're doing rapid shallow breathing, you're losing too much carbon dioxide. And taking another deep breath.
Conference muted.
I'll unmute us soon. We like to keep the lines unmuted whenever there's a little bit of background noise. I just go ahead and mute initially while we cover some of the information we want to make sure to highlight on the call, and then we'll unmute and take questions, comments, celebrations. It's always so wonderful to meet with our Life Breath Club team members. So we know that if we've got a lot of shallow, rapid breathing going on, then taking another deep breath really isn't going to be the thing to help us, right? But relaxing, just go ahead and see how long you can exhale into the moment, waiting with faith on that refreshing, cleansing breath. That's a gift from above. That's definitely going to bring us into a life-saving biochemistry, literally, right? We can cause an anti-inflammatory effect that helps to calm the situation if we've got a fussy heart. Can prevent a heart attack if we ease our biochemistry into a more healthy place, right? With a healthier carbon dioxide level. Yeah? You can shift your carbon dioxide level within a breath or two, right? Like slow it down within a breath or two. So you shift from a more irritating biochemistry, let's just call it that, not confuse anybody about anything, because blood gases, the gases that are in your blood are a little confusing to figure out. That's why the profession of respiratory therapists came to pass in the first place, in that it's a little counterintuitive. It's a little rough to make sense of it. So to keep from confusing ourselves, if we just really acknowledge that rapid shallow breathing, that constricted tight breathing, really is going to end up with rapid and shallow breathing when we don't cultivate stillness. We don't release the tension on a regular basis. Practice relaxing on a regular basis. Then that tense breathing eventually takes us to overbreathing. That's why our chaotic modern world is such a breath killer, right? Our bad breathing habits are caused by our stress level, are caused by the chaos in our lives. And that's why overbreathing is so very common. So we know better than to just take a deep breath. We really are savoring each breath, right? Really understanding how air hunger is actually something we want to allow, right? We don't want to open our mouth and gulp air in an effort to relieve that air hunger. We really want to be aware that air hunger is not necessarily a bad thing. It's your mind saying, breathe more and go back to the carbon dioxide level you're used to, right? And since we're aiming for better health, better biochemistry, what we know as Life Breath Clubbers is that easing our carbon dioxide level slightly up with a slow and savored exhale, we will gradually shift our normal carbon dioxide level to a more comfortable place, right? That will be our new normal. So our body won't insist on the rapid shallow breathing to get back to what your body knows as its comfort zone, right? So we just be patient in this little bit of air hungry place, right? We're patient until we're able to gradually shift and get our body on board with us, right? And shift into this new comfort zone, right? And at that point, air hunger is not so evident, right? We don't feel uncomfortable anymore. Even though we're at that healthier carbon dioxide level, our body begins to understand that this is a good thing. This is a good place. Why? Because your pH begins to shift, right? Things that happen in your body that control your pH happen slower than your breathing. But when you are maintaining this breath awareness, you're cultivating stillness and nurturing a more relaxed nervous system response, right? Gradually, we begin to shift to a healthier biochemistry. That's our goal here in the Life Breath Club. We know how powerful your breathing is because we're patiently waiting on this subtle shift to a healthier biochemistry. And then the whole world changes, right? You transform your health and your life when you patiently allow this shift to a healthier healthier blood gas biochemistry, right, in your blood. So powerful, powerful stuff. If you are a free Life Breath Club member, hop on and check out the oxygen category and the fluid retention category. I'm about to reorganize so that things are easier to find and easier to navigate and easier to put into use for you free members. It's pretty chaotic there as it lives on the website right now. The master's level members get a downloadable PDF that is the curriculum that really teaches you about your sacred breathing and really helps you to understand the goal. And you also get one-on-one time with a Life Breath coach. And I'm really spoiling folks. The offer is a 30-minute strategy session with a Life Breath coach. But I'm really loving that right now, at this point in the process, we're able to really spoil people and give them whatever attention they need. So definitely, if you haven't become a master's member already, you can find that at heartfailuresolutions.com/sacred-breath. Get over there on the blog and just read. You'll come across the book here, there, and everywhere. The Increase Your Oxygen free ebook PDF is available to anyone who would like it. Just head on over to the blog and give us your email address and sign up, and you will be allowed to download the book right there off the website. If you're having trouble downloading Increase Your Oxygen, please reply to any message from heartfailuresolutions.com and ask for help. We're happy to help. If you've been lost and dropped off of our mailing list, please do get back on. It's at heartfailuresolutions.com/moving. So today we had wanted to talk about summer safety. So last week, Pat asked us to cover why is it so hard to breathe when it's hot. We talked about some of the various factors around that. I loved Chris. I saw your message. I missed your message. It was, I think, over on Facebook that I saw that message. Chris left a bunch of awesome comments, which you can do in the members area or anywhere on the heartfailuresolutions.com blog with your Google Plus account. We had to close down the normal commenting system to keep the spammers out, and it sure has helped. So we do appreciate that your willingness to use your Google Plus account to comment over there on the blog. If you have trouble with that, let us know. We're happy to walk you through how to do that. It's very simple, very easy, but we do apologize for any inconvenience or any learning curve it forces you to accomplish there. But you're welcome to leave your comments there, reply to any message from Heart Failure Solutions in your email inbox, and we will pay extra special attention. You're flagged as VIPs, very important persons that we will be careful to look for your messages. So definitely get a hold of us and ask your questions, and we'll get you the help you need if we've got to call in one of our Life Breath Club advisors to do it. We've got some awesome team members that really support this space in an awesome way. So definitely, if you haven't already joined, it's only a $77 one-time offer right now. That will definitely have to go up to a monthly charge to keep us sustainable. So definitely take advantage of that if you'd like to get in before the monthly charge begins and become a master's member today. So we'd love to have you join us at that level. So this week, we're looking at summer safety. So what Pat was talking about last week with the heat, being out shopping in the heat or going to a function in the heat was a real challenge for him. And he wondered how other folks get along when it's so difficult to breathe in the heat. I know that a lot of the clients that I hear from the lung disease, right? So we're a nice mixture of folks just trying to improve their health, perhaps improve their athletic performance. I have a few of those clients, but for the most part, we're folks that are trying to learn more about heart and lung disease so that we can live better longer. And Heart Failure Solutions, obviously the giveaway there is that I really had a heart to reach people around heart failure to help them with information to protect their quality of life. Oftentimes I find that lung disease patients, COPD, emphysema, and any of the other various assortment of diagnostic labels you can attach to lung disease, that many of the folks don't realize that when oxygen levels, blood oxygen levels begin to dip down, then, really we can predict heart disease because of these low oxygen levels that are starving that muscle, the heart muscle, of oxygen. So I'm surprised to find that many chronic lung patients don't understand that in attending to their blood oxygen levels, supplementing their oxygen, they are protecting their heart. Yeah, so they are preventing that rapid progression of a heart disease, really that quickly becomes your heart is fine to you are experiencing acute heart failure, right? It happens it happens gradually, but it is drawn to your attention abruptly. Right? So many times the signs would be there for me. I would see fluid accumulating at the ankles, in the belly, perhaps in the extremities, like fingers, toes, the digits there swelling, even in the face, around the eyes. Fluid accumulation is one of the clues that tell us that you're struggling, that your health is struggling. But you can go to your doctor every 6 months with this increasing fluid accumulation, and your doctor will continue to tell you, quote unquote, your heart is fine. Right? I heard that traveling around this island for a decade, again and again and again and again. I heard, my heart's fine. Oh, my heart's fine. So as I began to caution folks about what I was seeing, like those early signs of heart failure, folks really weren't hearing me because their doctor said their heart is fine. And they'd much rather hear that than what I was saying, that this fluid accumulating at your ankles is worrisome. Yeah, we worry that if it's not a sign of a tired heart, then it's a sign of an overburdened heart, right? So if you are, so fluid accumulation can be a result of a tired heart, plain and simple, right? That's what acute heart failure is, a sudden retainer of fluid, sudden retention of fluid, right? That causes life-threatening issue that sends you drowning on your own fluid, right, to the emergency room, right, where you cannot breathe. And hopefully the emergency room doctor recognizes it right away and puts you on a positive pressure mask to push that fluid back out of your lungs. However, oftentimes, even in the emergency room, when you are in acute heart failure with all the bells and whistles that go with it, the doctor doesn't see it. The doctor is seeing pneumonia, and they're hooking you up to one of those little mist producing peace pipes, right? That's a bronchodilator that they give for asthma, right? Not going to help heart failure. But in a intensive care setting for 12 years, I worked in a trauma center. No problem, Chris. Chris is letting us know that he's come to join us for our hour and has had someone show up there needing some attention, and he has got to attend to them. And that's fine, Chris. You know that there's a recording available for you to catch the rest of the call anytime that works best for you. But I was so grateful that you came and made it to the call. Thank you, my friend. I love you. I love you too, Chris. And this call is always here for you. We'll be talking about summer safety, so come on back and listen to the recording. Yeah, so as we look at fluid accumulation and the heat of the summer, right? So if you've got a little bit more fluid around your ankles than you normally do, right? A few weeks back, John was sharing with us that this fluid accumulation around his ankles was something that was very new. It was not something he was used to. It just showed up all of a sudden, and with it, shortness of breath. And he was really miserable. Yeah. But when we sent him to his doctor asking for a diuretic, a water pill, the doctor was hesitant, didn't want to prescribe that. And John accepted the explanation that it was too hard on his kidneys and he didn't want to do that. But we also know that this increased fluid retention John is noticing is also a real burden on his kidneys and his heart, right? So the burden of this excess fluid is also hard on the kidneys. So, we're trying to, deal with possibility, create more options for John so we can try a new doctor, see if a new doctor is willing to prescribe a diuretic, a water pill. Not something John wanted to do. This is something each individual, right? We're all in the driver's seat. We're all our primary care physician. And we all make the decisions that resonate for us, the ones that feel right to us. That's why it's a great idea to breathe into now. Yeah? Listen to that still small voice within before we make a decision, right? We're not listening to any healthcare provider, including the Life Breath Coach, right? And making a decision. No, we are taking that consultation into consideration as we breathe into now and consult with our still small voice, right? All consultation advice is taken into consideration when we consult with that still small voice within, right? Then we can trust our decision, right? If we're not even asking ourselves, we're not even tuning in to what we think about the situation, then we are not serving ourselves well, right? Because you know better than anyone what you need. It's just a matter of fact. Right? So what else could John have done? We talked about how food is your medicine, right? That green smoothies are powerful medicine. Just taking 2 hands full of fresh greens. I love them, baby greens. They upset my stomach a little bit less. And 2 hands full of baby greens. 2 pieces of fruit. I use whatever I need, but I stay away from starchy fruit like bananas. Don't use avocados typically in my green smoothies. But any pieces of fruit that need to be used up. So 2 hands full of greens, 2 pieces of fruit, half of a lemon minus the peel and pith. That's not so good for the enamel on your teeth. And throw it into a blender with very little water until it's blended very smooth. And then fill the blender full of water and get that into me throughout the day. I've even had one-on-one clients utilize green smoothies, their own personal variation, to really address fluid retention, as well as a host of other health problems, including blood pressure. And really to just utilizing green smoothies on a day in, day out basis and watch their health concerns dissolve. So John was very insulted by that. He had a serious health concern, and the shortness of breath was scaring the hell out of him. And the Life Breath Coach told him to go make a smoothie. Well, he really didn't appreciate that, and eventually told the Life Breath Coach where she could shove it. And you know what? That's perfect. Yeah. When John is in a place, he got a lot of good stuff here from the Life Breath Club. And when John is really ready to embrace this information, put it into action, and assess the results for himself, then John will be ready to come on back. But until John's really ready to take a look, to put things, give things a try and evaluate his results, then John can't use this information. And being in this setting may very well upset him, which definitely does not nurture better health for John. So we really embrace that if the Life Breath Club doesn't feel right, don't ask yourself to keep coming. Yeah, you don't have to insult me and let me know that I suck, I won't take it personally, and if it makes you feel better, you're welcome to do that. But we really embrace that. This is for folks ready to trust themselves. Some folks aren't really there. Life Breath Club member Anita really had to kind of test the water 1 toe at a time before she soaked her feet and then before she took the plunge. But, she had to know that this felt right for her. Right? Listening to Chris talk about how he was waiting for a heart transplant and in a very short period of time turned that around, no longer needed a heart transplant, got back to work, and is now gardening at high elevation. She said, wow, I think I want to take a look at this. Yeah, because supplemental oxygen was bad news to Anita. She felt like she was giving up and laying down on her dead to die when she accepted the use of supplemental oxygen. That's just how it felt to her. Life Breath Club invited her to try on the idea that supplemental oxygen was nothing more than a tool to help her regain her active, independent lifestyle. And it was hard to accept at first, but she put it into practice and quickly started losing weight. Now, weight that had been stubborn to get off. So she kept putting into practice. She kept observing this weight loss, right? She told her doctor about the good news of the weight coming off without much effort, except the supplemental oxygen that she was being much more diligent about using, right? The doctor knew that, but the doctor wasn't even cautious enough to take a look and back off of her blood pressure medication. So quickly, Anita got too healthy, and her blood pressure medication dose became unhealthy, and her blood pressure was sent much too low. She ended up hospitalized before she backed off, reduced medication, and stopped hurting herself. So really be aware of that when you really nurture better health, your prescription medication may become dangerous, right? Prescription drugs are only nurturing of health when you found a balance, right? That's why when you come and you say, oh, the Life Breath Coach thinks prescription drugs are garbage, I think I'll stop them all. No, 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 no. You'll never hear that in this setting. We know that if you found a balance on prescriptive medication, then you need to be very careful about how you go about weaning away from the prescription drugs that are managing your symptoms right now, right? So as we put into place, say, supplemental oxygen, Anita found that was a quick and efficient way to address the issues that were going on in her body. She knew she was having repeated infections. She knew she couldn't take weight off. She was tired. She was unable to do her own shopping anymore even. She knew the issues that were in front of her. She really didn't understand that low oxygen level was a problem. But when she put the tool to use, she discovered that some of the other issues she was having no success in addressing suddenly began to disappear. So we really don't know what we don't know. And we can only evaluate if we are open and unbiased and willing to see what results we get without any preconceived ideas. So summer safety. Back to the topic at hand. We're halfway through the call. Let's get to business here. So when we're carrying more fluid, like I say, with John's was unexpected. It was new. It was not something he'd been living with for a while. It was a sudden onset. For other folks, maybe they've got an average amount of fluid, and that seems to be worse lately. Or perhaps same amount of fluid around your ankles, but you hear it in your voice a little more. Or when you cough, your cough sounds wet, right? So being more aware of how wet your lungs are all by itself can really tell you how well you will be able to cope with functioning in high humidity, high heat, right? So you're going to do a whole bunch better if you're not carrying excessive fluid, and you know that you're going to be very uncomfortable if you're carrying more fluid than you're used to seeing. Yeah, it's a no-brainer, right? And as you begin to have this constant amount of fluid that you're carrying around, just be aware of that asking yourself, taxing yourself, pushing yourself harder than you would normally in your day-to-day comings and goings, that expect to have more distress simply because of the fluid, right? It's exhausting to carry it around. It's exhausting for your heart to pump all, that with that extra fluid in the way. It's more work for your heart. It alters the pressures in your body so that perfusing your kidneys with blood is more of a challenge, right? As well as just moving air in and out of your lungs, right? There's much more resistance, much more wheezing that happens in your lungs simply because of this retained fluid, right? So just expect it. So, you know, fluid retention equates to more difficulty breathing. It seems strange and oversimple to state that, but I'm surprised how many folks don't hear that unless I state it that simply. So as well, just when you're out and sweating a lot, perhaps you haven't been hydrating carefully. Last week we talked about making sure you're hydrated ahead of time. If you know that you're going to be, enjoying a family event outdoors and the heat may be an issue, then making sure to take care a few days ahead of time even to make sure that you're hydrating. Yeah? Squeeze a little bit of fresh lemon into water, makes it a little bit easier to absorb it, right? When you know that you're dehydrated, perhaps your stool is very loose, or perhaps you're sick and losing fluid through emesis, through throwing up, or any fluid loss from your body, sweat, puke, bowel, any way that fluid is leaving your body. Just being very aware of that and understanding that you're losing more than fluid, you're also losing electrolytes. So if you take a look at electrolyte balance, we are really addressing summer safety, right? That I'm going to unmute the call.
Conference unmuted.
When we've got advisors on the call, they're often awesome with jumping in with supplemental information that is just invaluable. So definitely want to see if we can keep our lines unmuted. And if you'd like to pipe up with a question and contribute that way, I will keep my eye on the membership area to look for questions. And please do contribute if you'd like. So electrolytes. So electrolyte balance is a really awesome point when we're talking summer safety. So losing sodium, potassium, magnesium, what are some of the other, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, all these good stuff, we lose with fluid as well. If you are taking a diuretic, right, this is why your doctor wants to look at your blood work on a regular basis when he's using a diuretic, right? We were talking about how John's doctor didn't want to prescribe a water pill because it's too hard on his kidneys, right? Doctors know that when they prescribe a pill that pulls fluid off of your body, that they are causing you to age faster. Yeah, why? Because it's taking good stuff along with the fluid. Yeah, the reason they do it is you can't breathe through fluid. You will drown on your own fluid if your doctor doesn't treat it when it gets to that point, right? But until it really begins to hinder your health, right? You can't breathe through it or it drives your blood pressure up, then your doctor will not want to resort to a water pill, to a diuretic, for this reason, right? But when we take a look at the heat of summer, or increased activity in the heat of summer, even just increased humidity that makes breathing more work, right? So you're not really working harder, but just the humidity of the day is a lot of work to breathe, right? So it's much more work to breathe in that humidity than it is without the humidity. So you may not notice that you're very overworked when you're having to breathe in a highly humidified environment, right? So you're unaware that the heat is affecting you, perhaps, until you're just wore out at the end of the day. So if we take a look at perhaps electrolyte balance, I wonder maybe a good time to mention the essential 90 essential vitamins and minerals. Just supplementing on a daily basis. So even when you know you're not going to be stressed for the day, it's a good thing to just make it a routine, that routinely you are supplementing the vitamins and minerals that are essential, right? Then on a stressed day, you won't have to plan ahead. You will have it be an automated part of your routine each day to supplement those vitamins and minerals and prepare for stress where it appears without warning, right? So if you'd like to check that out, the one Chris Downs, our heart transplant rejectee. His heart's working fine. He doesn't need to transplant. But our VIP, Chris Downs, has recommended the 90 essential nutrients through longevity. And, just because of Chris Chris's status here as a Life Breath Club member, and I've been very open to checking out a vitamin and nutrition supplements within the Life Breath Clubs just to evaluate them. In the past, I have asked you to please just do your homework, find out what resonates for you. We've talked a little bit about muscle testing. I've encouraged you to be very careful. Yeah, you want to watch your blood pressure once you start a nutritional supplement or a prescription drug, right? Watch for changes or elevation in your blood pressure as a result of the change that you are causing through adding a prescription drug or adding a supplement, right? So folks don't usually think of, vitamins or nutritional supplements as something dangerous or something they need to be careful with. But definitely, taking in too much good stuff may overwork your liver. May cause a few things to happen that cause an elevation in your blood pressure, and a very dangerous thing to ignore. So anytime you make a change, definitely just take your blood pressure several times throughout the day and record it. Just make it a habit of it and keep an eye on it for a while. See how it affects your body. Really journal how you're feeling each day. Yeah? Write it down. Take a look back over a week or two to see if you're forgetting that you're feeling worse or improving, right? Sometimes you don't notice changes unless you really record it and remind yourself, right? So if you'd like to check out Youngevity's 90 essential nutrients that are working so awesome for Chris and I'm really impressed with this line of products. Dr. Wallach is not new to me. I've really enjoyed hearing him speak the many times that I have checked him out on YouTube and other websites that have shared his public speaking engagements. But you'll find the tangerine flavored 90 essential nutrients for life at heartfailuresolutions.com/tangerine. And the peach flavor, which is guaranteed non-GMO, at heartfailuresolutions.com/peach. And just put it into practice and see if you don't notice a huge difference. It's available at a much lower price if you want to get involved in a multi-level marketing organization. So get a hold of us if that's something that's interesting for you. I think you can check out information. Yeah, I made a redirection link at heartfailuresolutions.com/wholesale. All lowercase, all one word. And you can check out, just click on join and pick your country if you would like to check out a much lower price for those same awesome supplements. I wanted to talk a little bit about, so summer safety. Swimming is a really taxing exercise. So I know a lot of folks who have low oxygen levels, but really enjoy aerobics in the summer, and typically do not use supplemental oxygen because, of course, it's hard to get it into a swimming pool, right? I've had one-on-one clients that I have advised to use an extension with their tank and use oxygen with aerobics. So the tank is out of the pool, of course, and they are near the edge, but they actually supplement their oxygen with their water aerobics. It makes it much more beneficial and much safer, right? If you utilize any outdoor activity, please be even more careful, right? It's not going to hurt you to elevate oxygen levels when you're exercising, even if you don't, quote unquote, need it, right? So it's 92% blood oxygen level is that magic number. Even 91 is much too low because the pressure of the oxygen can't penetrate the red blood cell and catch its ride where it needs to go, right? So 91 is too low. We want 92, and we won't accept 1 percentage point less, right? If you don't have an oximeter to watch your oxygen levels, you can get one on Amazon pretty darn cheap. Here, I've set up a redirection link for you, heartfailuresolutions.com/oximeter. All lowercase, OXIMETER. Can pick them up for a song over there. And keep an eye out and make sure you're safe about that, as well as hydration and electrolytes. So the P90 vitamins and minerals for life is a great way to keep your baseline there stable. But as well, like I said, if you really feel like you're losing too much fluid, it can't hurt to mix a little bit of baking soda into water, a little bit of lemon into water. However, if you're on prescription drugs, you're on diuretics or anything else, please head to the emergency room or call 911. Just better safe than sorry, right? Okay, so now that I feel a little bit more like I have addressed summer safety for health challenges, compromised health, and please do ask your questions if you have any coming up. I'm not seeing any. Pat says he's going to try to be here. He's still partying with his Father's Day celebrators. He had a big crowd for the whole week. They celebrated Father's Day for a week for their grandpa. I love that. It's just awesome to hear such happiness going on in Life Breath Clubbers' lives. It just lifts my spirits like you wouldn't believe. Definitely tell me your stories and emails. I love them. I eat them up. So awesome. If Pat's here, welcome. And if not, I'm sure he'll catch the recording. It's great how that works for him. He can enjoy his loved ones and not let us interrupt him and be served by this recording when it serves him well. And so to get on, great to bring up Pat, seeing him on the membership site commenting over there. Great to bring him up because I had wanted to mention some summer safety for our loved ones. Pat's always spending time with his little people. Yeah, his grandkids are just the love of his life. He just values his time with them so very much. And I know that a lot of you do, right? Your grandkids are just the light of your life. And I just wanted to bring up just how summertime is a little bit more challenging to keep them safe and to plan for safety, right? So just taking a look at the years that I worked in a pediatric hospital, drowning and bike accidents were something that we actually did outreach programs. We got out in the community in an effort to educate people to reduce the number of incidents that we saw in the emergency room and intensive care settings around swimming and bike accidents. So we like to remind folks that it takes just minutes within earshot of loved ones usually to lose a little one, right? That we think drowning will be noisy. We think we'll hear it, right? And it's silent. It happens without us knowing, even though we are very close to the body of water, right? So hot tubs, even shallow wading pools and lakes. If we can really keep in mind that even when kids are able to swim, sometimes when they maybe are trying to keep up with the older kids and they are challenging themselves and pushing themselves past their comfort zone, yeah, maybe they'll take on a little bit of water, breathe in a little, suck in a little bit of too much water there, and end up in trouble. And you can't really tell by looking that someone in the water is actually in trouble. Yeah. Lifeguards are trained to recognize it, but so often family members just 5 feet away from loved ones are unaware that they're drowning. So just really good to know that that being aware, right? As well, I don't know if you've read about kids who have died of drowning after they left the swimming pool, right? They went home and they were tired and they fell asleep, took a nap, and passed away in their sleep because they had taken on so much water in their lungs. Very bizarre. Yeah. First time I heard of that, I just was shocked, stunned, and amazed. But just to be aware, right? To just be err on the side of caution there around water with little ones. As well, bike helmets. I know when I was a kid, nobody wore bike helmets, right? And I know my son sure does complain a lot about his bike helmet. But, that precious dome there on top of your shoulders, the impact with cement is devastating, right? And just that little bit of protection between their head and the pavement can mean the difference between losing the vitality of that child, right? A head injury can leave your child with you, but horribly altered. Yeah, not to mention just really taking them off the planet in a quick hurry. But that valuable noggin is something to protect. So we got out into our communities to really grow awareness around this, to really help folks to understand that just a little bit of caution can go a long, long way. So summer safety for you and your loved ones. Hopefully that is beneficial. And get you looking forward to your summer activities. Here in the States, and we're looking at that warmer weather. I love that, as we talk to a global audience, that the seasons are a little different depending on where you're located on the planet. And sometimes I find myself talking to my fellow Americans and Canadians maybe, and don't want to leave anybody out. So wherever you are located on the planet as we head into June, July, and August, what does that look like for you? And how can you plan on plenty of social interaction as well as fun activity, right? How can you be active in a way that offers more fun in your life, right? Heat, the heat of the summer sun can make that a little bit more challenging. As well, just the unusually cold temperatures in the winter can possibly be even more challenging and present even more danger, right? So as we look to the month ahead, a couple months ahead, and begin to fill in our schedule, it's a great idea, right? If you are becoming increasingly isolated, do you have a calendar? Are you looking ahead for opportunity to coax yourself to get out of your comfort zone and go and enjoy people? Go and enjoy young people, even if you don't have your own grandkids. Can you accept an invitation and or go to the park and put it on your calendar? Yeah. If you can't get there by yourself or would enjoy it more with a friend, then make a date, right? And just get out of your four walls more often, right? And if you need to, plan for success. Okay? Last week I mentioned that taking say a hand towel and getting it wet, even maybe bring a few of them and put them in a cooler so that when you put it around your neck, helps to maintain a more comfortable body temperature without stressing your resources, right? Burning up all your energy, right? It can really be beneficial. And bring a few and switch off and put the warmed up one in the cooler and get a nice fresh cold one out. Perhaps that all by itself helps you enjoy your entire day. Yeah, helps so that you don't have to cut your plan short and head into the air conditioning, right? Perhaps you're able to really stay present and really enjoy your loved ones if you just take that little extra step of a cool towel to put around your neck all day long. Yeah? Little lemon juice squeezed into a jug of water that you sip all day long, and it keeps you hydrated so that you don't end up fatigued and in trouble by mid-afternoon, right? Looking and planning for safety, right? You have a hot tub. Perhaps you put a lock on the cover, right? We think that little ones aren't strong enough to push the cover aside and slip inside and endanger themselves. But I've certainly seen it more times than I care to count in a pediatric trauma center, right? Very sad indeed. Yeah, a life lost. And such a simple precaution to stay safe. So looking forward to your week. Plan for more activity. Plan for success for your activity, and lift your spirits in the process. Yeah. So often planning for fun is the best way to address depression. Right? Clinical depression is very real, and so is out the door and down the road. Right? Getting up and walking each day. Just for a while, just for a little while. Go walk for 20 minutes, right? Get your shoes on, walk out your door for 10 minutes, and then turn around and come back, right? Just that. Far more valuable than the psychotropic medication given to you to address your clinical depression. Honest engine. Put it to the test and see if you don't find how valuable that is for you, right? Psychotropics, powerful medication that can really help you, but something that is also very problematic. And if you can wean away from it, please do be careful, because it's most dangerous when you're weaning off of it. Now, increased suicidal feelings from weaning psychiatric medications. If you're not aware of that, please be aware. Yeah? Why don't you just go stay with family for a week or two? They'll love to have you if you want to wean off psychotropics. Even if you're a young person and you think you can handle it, please be careful. in weaning off of psychotropics. Statin medications are very problematic in eating up your CoQ10 as well as messing with your blood sugar. Never heard any danger in weaning off of statins. Yeah? Most folks who decide to just do it, just do it. Right? And they're really aware of nurturing themselves with foods from the earth to reduce inflammation in their bodies, right? They're really aware of nurturing health through diet and activity when they want to get away from statin medications, right? But really taking that medication and feeling like they're preventing heart disease is really not rational. And Life Breath Club members sometimes are slow to embrace this, and that's okay because you're the one calling all the shots, right? But really being aware that statin medication may be harming you in devastating ways. And that's something to take seriously as well. So how will you navigate your week ahead? Will you take a look at your prescription drugs and evaluate which ones you want to address getting away from? Just to share with Chris Downs shared a celebration before we started the recording for this call that he actually is not even taking aspirin anymore. His doctor would like him taking aspirin. Chris is very careful, very responsible. He even weaned himself off of digoxin, which is a very powerful cardiac med and one I would not recommend weaning off of without the cooperation of your doctor. If your doctor doesn't support the wean off of digoxin, then don't do it. Right? This is powerful medicine. However, aspirin, that I want to encourage you. Trust yourself, just as Chris did. Right? Chris has been able to lower his blood pressure. He is not on blood pressure medications anymore. He doesn't need them to maintain a healthy blood pressure. He takes his blood pressure and he knows that that's the systolic number. That's the big number. He knows to watch and make sure that that number doesn't vary more than 50, right? So the lowest number, typically early morning or middle of the night, that low number for that systolic blood pressure number is not 50 points lower than the highest systolic number, perhaps when he comes in from the garden, right? So he doesn't see a variation of more than 50 and knows that it's safe to stop all blood pressure medications, right? So Chris has evaluated eliminating one prescription medication at a time until he was down to an aspirin and really felt that there was no need to take aspirin. But when he looked into the long-term effects of taking daily aspirin, he felt that was something he wanted to avoid. And so responsibly, Chris decided to stop taking his daily aspirin. Yeah? That's not to say that you should decide this as well. We're just celebrating with Chris and acknowledging the milestones on his responsible path towards better health. So what action will you take this week? Will you take a look at your prescriptives and decide if you'd like to address weaning? Will you take a look at your diet and decide you'll eat less canned foods and more fresh fruits and vegetables? Summertime's an awesome time to try to shift to a more wholesome dietary lifestyle because there are just so many more foods, awesome, yummy foods from the earth that are in season this time of year, especially for the climates similar to the United States, right? So this time of year is an awesome time to choose better. Will you schedule 10 minutes to just spend with you and your breathing? We know we can't think our way to better breathing, and that a rigid meditation schedule is not necessarily the best path to more breath awareness. But sometimes scheduling 10 minutes with ourselves each day to just become aware of our breathing and to just become aware of what emotions or thoughts might arise as we cultivate stillness. We know that's a valuable daily practice, right? So to create any change in your life, you allow for a still moment, right? You breathe into this still present moment. We know that presence, step 2 of the 7-step process for creating change in your life, any change in your life. Step 2, presence, breathing into now. We know we're there when we aren't giving attention to what we think, feel, smell, right? Because presence precedes our senses. Now, we can only be present for little spaces of time until our senses get our attention again. Right? So we allow for a still moment to become present. Yeah. Then we step into that present moment as much as we can. Stay right there. No thought, no smell, no itch. Right? The present moment precedes your senses. Yeah. But it allows for the awareness. That's step 3. That awareness when we feel an itch on our arm or our head or our okoli, or as we become aware of a stinkiness, or we become aware of the beautiful smell of a flower, yeah. Or we become aware of the sun going behind a cloud, right? That the awareness, yeah, that we acknowledge, right? That step 3 is an awesome place. That when we really become aware that all of the little subtleties of our awareness, becoming, very focused on those subtle sensitivities, that this is the practice that actually gives us more access to our intuition, right? Because the awareness that my inner ear infection was a problem that my doctors were not addressing, right? I became increasingly aware that it was a problem and that I should address it no matter what my doctor said. In that still present moment, when I became aware of my funky breathing that got my attention, when I became aware that ridges were showing up in my fingernails, which tells me I have a real challenge providing oxygen to my body, right? That's what those ridges mean. Perhaps there's an infection in your body, right? Perhaps you live in a moldy environment. Perhaps you have, like I did, an infection, a chronic infection that isn't obvious, right? My inner ear infection was not obvious. I ignored the subtle signs, right? But in breathing into the still present moment is when I became aware of the signs of trouble, right? So I was able to look at it from my beginner's mind, right? That the discomfort, the shooting pains that I would occasionally get in my ear, the fatigue that I felt, the ridges in my fingernails, all of this, I began to see with a new mind. I began to say, perhaps this is a call to address this. Perhaps I should stop ignoring this, right? My beginner's mind said, don't ignore this, right? My habit had become, yeah, I know, ignore it, right? But my beginner's mind said, oh, what I'm ignoring is the signs of trouble I should be aware of to create the change that will erase my fatigue, give me the energy to live my life with passion, right? Yes, I wasn't having any more health crisis types of symptoms, but that was no reason to ignore the fatigue that I was noticing, right? So my beginner's mind told me that a daily practice of hydrogen peroxide flush in the affected ear, my beginner's mind decided that was a daily practice I should take seriously. And so that daily practice began to create change. Changes my doctor could see, right? It opened up a cyst inside my ear that began to drain. And when it began to drain, my doctor was able to culture Pseudomonas out of my ear and was alarmed that she was able to culture Pseudomonas out of my ear. Now my doctor is going from you're fine to, oh dear, there's a problem here that I really think we should address. Hooray, my doctor was on board. So my beginner's mind that decided to take a daily practice and put it into place and be consistent brought about a change that brought my doctor on board. And my doctor was then working with me. And I wasn't trying to convince my doctor anymore. We were working together. And that really, really began to create some momentum, right? And so now here I am, weeks into my intensified focus on a problem that my intuitive insight pointed to, right? And so now this has become integrated into my life. The daily practice and the acknowledging of the progress that we've made. My ear was impacted with a white fuzziness. That's all gone. We see lots more pink tissue in there. It's only a very small space that's still a little bit white and fuzzy. So acknowledging the progress is really an awesome way to acknowledge that I'm at step 6 here. I've integrated this consistent daily practice to the point that I am seeing improvement. I'm really integrating it, right? And sharing it here with you really helps me to not go back to ignoring it, right? I feel a lot better. I have more energy. The pain and discomfort in my ear isn't as bad, so I could easily ignore it. But sharing it with you and with my family and with the people that care about me. So how's your ear the next time they see me? It helps me to not to jump ship, right? So we're at 10 o'clock, for me, we're at the top of our hour, our 60 minutes of devoted time to focus on breath awareness. So congratulate yourselves. You've invested 60 more minutes of your time into the powerful biochemical shift that can transform your health and save your life in a moment, right? This is a powerful time spent. And as you look forward into your week, make a plan. What is a specific, measurable, attainable, and realistic goal that you will set for yourself and accomplish so that next week, when we acknowledge 7 days have passed and our daily practice has given us results that we can reflect upon and acknowledge, and you will have served yourself well as a Life Breath Clubber for another week. Next week, on Monday the 23rd, we're going to come back together and give 60 more minutes to focus on our breath awareness. The subject of our call next week, our theme for the week will be, what is heart failure? What really is heart failure, and why is the world facing an epidemic of it? We've covered this many times before, but next week we're going to take another look at it. And we're going to take a look at it from the perspective of what is the awareness that we can share with people around us, right? If you're not worried about heart failure yourself, how can you begin to become more aware of the conversation you have with the people you love and care for that can help you share with them an awareness that really might help them take those subtle signs seriously before it's too late? Now, this is how we shift the epidemic of heart failure and really begin to thrive as a global population. So exciting stuff next week. Next week, information to share with the people you care about to convince the world that we don't need to die of heart disease. Good stuff next week. Folks, let me check and make sure there's no questions on the membership area. As well as, I'm going to begin to create an event page, so our Hangout actually, I find questions on the Hangout sometimes that I don't catch on the live call. I did pretty good. We're only 3 minutes past the top of our hour. I see a couple viewers. No questions. Like I said, if you'd like to if you're not on our emailing list and you'd like to ask questions, that's a great way to do it. heartfailuresolutions.com/moving, all lowercase, will get you to our mailing list, and just hit reply to any email from Heart Failure Solutions, and the Life Breath Coach will be happy to answer your questions. Until we meet again next week, same time, same place, be good to yourselves and be good to everyone you meet. Aloha nui, everyone.